Okay, so I've got an interesting question that I'm going to pose. And this question is based on feedback, comments, emails that I get almost daily, and I'll summarize, but they kind of go like this. It's, hey Mike, I'm struggling in my business. I'm having a hard time starting my business. Where should I start? What can I do? I'm not making any money. I only have a couple jobs. I don't have enough customers. How can I get more, right? How do you do it? Do any of those statements or questions ring true to your business? Yeah, starting a business is hard, and it takes a unique type of person that's willing to venture out on their own, take a risk, put themselves out there for failure, right? And if you haven't started yet, you're going to be there at some point. And if you've already started your business, then you've done these things and you've put yourself out there. And all those questions that I get asked, I know the answers, right? I know the answers to those questions, and I know what you need to do. I know the steps that you need to do and the order in which you need to take them to become more successful, to become more than just somebody that works for an hourly wage, somebody that has to clock in or clock out to get a paycheck, somebody that has to put in more hours to make more money. I know the secret, and that's when I started to really think about what I'm about to say. I've been doing this for about 2 decades, and I'm very successful. Look, I've made a ton of money. I still make a ton of money. I'm not bragging. I'm not flexing. I'm just stating facts. Now, there are lots of guys out there like me that are very successful, right? They've got great businesses and they make a ton of money. So I was thinking to myself, if you were to take everything away from me, all of my trucks, all of my employees, all my equipment, all my marketing assets that I use every single day to generate business, right? If you were to strip all of that away and put me back to square one, would I be able to replicate what I've achieved? And I'm not talking about stripping me of my knowledge or my experience. I'm just talking about the stuff. And if you were to pop me down in any city, in any state, in any one of your businesses, could I take that business and grow it, elevate it, make it more profitable? The answer is absolutely yes. There's no question in my mind that I could replicate this. And I could do it much faster, much more efficient, and way more profitable than the first time I did it, right? And it's because I spent all that time gaining the experience, gaining the knowledge through trial and error, figuring out the things that I needed to figure out in order to be efficient, and not just cleaning, but in running my business, not just in washing, but talking to customers or getting customers, scaling the business, right? So how does this help you in your business? Well, it helps you because I've been there and I've done that, and I know it works, and I know how to implement the right things and do them in the right order. So what's the point of all this? Well, the point is simple. I sell stuff. I sell experience. I sell knowledge, and I'm not ashamed of that at all. I'm not embarrassed that there is value to what I know and what I've done. And if you're struggling in your business, you need to evaluate where you're at, where you want to be, and what you want to accomplish, and then determine if you're willing to invest in yourself, invest in your future, and get there faster, right? And if you watch my channel, it's because you want to learn. But there's only so much that you can learn from watching YouTube videos and hanging out on Facebook groups where a lot of times people don't genuinely care or they don't want to help you. And you have to figure out who actually knows what they're talking about, who has credibility, who's actually done this in the past. Are you actually cutting the learning curve, or are you hurting yourself because you're getting bad information from people that don't know what they're talking about? And don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of guys out there with great information, tremendous amount of knowledge, tremendous amount of experience, and by no means am I throwing shade at any of those guys, but I don't know them. I do know me. And I know what my business has done, and I know how it's gotten there, and I'm willing to share that with you. And if you're just starting your business, invest in yourself, cut your learning curve. I didn't have this when I started. I had to figure it out all on my own. So like I said, I sell stuff. And if you don't want to hear this, just fast forward a little bit. You can get through this. But if not, we put together an unbelievable bundle that is perfect for guys that are just starting their business, or maybe just struggling right now, not really having the direction needed for success. So we took the #1 pressure washing and soft washing training in the world, How to Wash, and paired it with the #1 selling pressure washing business course in the world, Local Domination 0 to 7K. And we've reduced the price and added in Justin's 2022 Facebook ad strategy and wood cleaning mastery. You're going to get absolutely everything that you need to cut the learning curve so you can hit the ground running. You can propel yourselves light years ahead in your business. And that's just straight facts. It's not debatable. It's undeniable. If you implement these things in these 4 courses, you're going to see big changes in your business because you're getting a ton of knowledge and decades of experience condensed into the best training you can get in the pressure washing industry. When I first started my business, we were doing primarily commercial work, gas stations, flat work, restaurants, dumpsters, sidewalks, stuff like that. We eventually made the transition over to residential work because of the economy at that time. It was pretty bad, and I saw the direction and needed to go there. And I'll never forget the first time I went out by myself to do a residential property. And this is actually a pretty embarrassing story, but again, I'm not ashamed to share my experiences because maybe it can help somebody. But my guys were all doing commercial work, like I said, and that's done early morning or late night night. So I'd oftentimes have trailers that were just sitting around during the day, and I figured what better way and what better time to grow the business than to expand into the residential market. So I started marketing the business, getting the name out there, letting folks know that we were doing residential now. And I started booking jobs. Of course, my employees were working at night for the most part, and they weren't going to be working during the day, but I wanted to get going. So I started doing some of these houses myself, and there was a real learning curve there. A big difference between spraying degreaser on concrete and just surface cleaning, and then dealing with the intricacies of house washes, chemical injectors, mix ratios, things like that, right? So the first residential job I ever did by myself, I showed up, I got everything set up, I bought the bleach, and again, remember, we weren't really using a ton of bleach at this time, mostly just degreasers, and I started washing. Now, it was a pretty dirty house, and it was a pretty big house, and I still remember exactly where it was, what the address was, and I spent like 3 hours there, right, trying just to get the mildew to start coming off the house, reapplying and reapplying and reapplying, and nothing was working. It wasn't coming clean. And again, remember, this was about 15 years ago, so my troubleshooting skills were not as honed as they are today, but I did everything that I possibly could do, or I knew how to do, and I couldn't get it to work. The bleach was not coming out. So you know what I did? I rolled up my hoses and I hauled ass. I was embarrassed that I took on the job I couldn't handle. I didn't tell the customer I was leaving. I just left. Obviously not the right thing to do. Obviously not something that I'm proud of admitting. But what I learned is preparation is key. Experience is powerful. Knowledge is even more important. And at that point, I lacked the experience and the knowledge to get that job done. Back then, there was a guy called Marion who we'd buy some parts from, and he'd fix stuff for us when we needed him. He worked out of his house, and I don't think he's alive anymore, but a great guy and a huge asset to my business. But I took the trailer over there, explained to him what was happening. He kind of laughed, unscrewed the nipple of the chemical injector, took out the spring, took out the ball, and there was a little piece of trash in there, right? He cleaned it all out, put it all back together, and the bleach started coming out. So I went to Marion because I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know how to fix it. And I knew that he did. He had the knowledge, he had the experience, and he was able to help me figure out what was going on. And guess what? Marion charged me for that. And I was happy to pay him. But what I learned that day, I still use today, and I pass that along to all my techs, and it saves us time. It saves us money. It makes us more efficient, and it makes us more profitable because now we know what we're doing. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Investing in yourself, investing in your business, not being afraid to spend a couple bucks. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to get the training that you need. That is so important to the success of your business. Okay, guys? So I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope this video helped a little bit. Thanks for sharing some of my embarrassing stories. Do not forget to check out the bundle. It's not going to stay at that price for much longer. And I hope you have a great day.